Right, and now to go more into this topic, discuss the intricacies of what's happening here in the capital of Warsaw about the central banker, Mr. Glapiński, and everything connected to that, the tribunal. It's a very intricate story, so that's why we have an expert here joining us in the studio, Ms. Aleksandra Walkiewicz Zygowska, lawyer. Welcome to the program.
Good evening.
Thank you for joining us. Now, this is a very complex story. And I think for our viewers to understand, we first are going to play a short material, an explainer, and the background of the situation.
The ruling coalition is moving ahead with the motion to remove the head of the National Bank of Poland from office. Appointed for 6 years in 2022 by the previous Law and Justice government, Adam Glapiński has become one of the main targets of the new parties in power.
He made a series of responsible decisions, all of which are described here. Cutting interest rates just before the election, the lack of response when it was needed.
The request to bring Mr. Glapiński before the State Tribunal as part of an impeachment procedure has arrived in Parliament. Along with the request came a court decision that could hamper the government's efforts in this regard.
I will not implement the decision sent to me by the President of the Constitutional Tribunal, and I will continue, in accordance with the law, with the request to bring the head of the National Bank of Poland before the State Tribunal.
Speaker Hołownia says the decision that bans Parliament from proceeding Glapiński's case extends beyond the Constitutional Court's competencies. The decisions of this court are ignored by the ruling coalition, and not only by it. The European Court of Human Rights has questioned several of its decisions, arguing that 3 of its members were elected illegally. The attempt to sack the head of Poland's National Bank will likely not be affected by the court's decision. There may, however, be difficulties proving his alleged wrongdoings.
The question I would start from the end, maybe the question of lack of independence is in my opinion, one of the strongest one, actually. But at the same time, it's really hard to prove it. And that's a tricky thing. And as we witness, actually, throughout the history on trying to get the politicians in front of the Tribunal of the State, or State Tribunal, we know how hard it is to prove this kind of accusations.
Adam Glapiński will serve for 4 more years as the National Bank president, should the government fail to revoke him from office.
So as you can see, this is not an easy story to understand. That's why we need your help very, very much. Now, Mr. Glapiński, he's the head of Poland's National Bank, and he is accused of weakening the national currency ahead of key elections, acting in the interest of law and justice, and approving hefty bonuses for himself. Now, is it legal for him to face constitutional tribunal? Is this the right institution to actually judge his doings?
There is, unfortunately, it is very difficult to answer this question. Maybe let me start from the beginning. We have what situation we are facing now. So we are facing the situation that the motion was filed to Sejm to put the president of the Bank of Poland, the National Bank of Poland, to trial. But such a person, like a president of the National Bank of Poland, is one of the most important figures in Poland, in the state. So there is no such thing like proceedings against a person like that in the regular courts.
It has never happened.
Of course, it happened before, but now the situation that we are facing is unprecedented. So a person like that is responsible and can be responsible only before the Tribunal of State. And to put on trial a person like that in front of Tribunal of State, that has to be a motion to Sejm, and the motion has to be passed, has to be voted, and has to be passed with the majority, simple majority of votes of the member of parliament, of the member of Sejm, in the presence of at least half of them. And the motion was filed, and the Sejm was just about to vote about this motion. But what happens? The oppositional party filed a complaint to the Tribunal, Constitutional Tribunal, claiming that the law that allows to put on trial the president of the National Bank is unconstitutional. Why? Because their argumentation is so that the president of the Bank of Poland has to be independent of Sejm, of the politics. But in this situation, the simple majority means that the Sejm can suspend his function only by the simple majority. And Constitutional Tribunal said that all the actions about the motion to put on trial Mr. Glapiński has to be frozen, has to be stopped. But Sejm and the chairman, Szymon Hołownia, said and claimed that he will not take into consideration what the tribunal said. And we have a division between the two very strong powers that are quarreling. And like a lawyer, it's very hard for me to decide who is right, who is wrong.
That would be my question now, because we have these two very deadlocked forces. As you said, it's a legal challenge, it's from judiciary, it's also the Sejm, it's the parliament. So who do you go to in this case? Who is going to arbitrate this?
You know, it is a very difficult question, because it's not only the problem of today we are facing, but the problem started a long time ago. Because now the Tribunal, Constitutional Tribunal has the members who are politically, absolutely politically connected with the former party that was ruling. And now the power that is ruling in Sejm, it is definitely from the different option. It is PiS and PO. This is two parties that cannot they cannot act together. They are always against each other. And this is what we are facing now. For me as a lawyer, the verdicts and the judgments of the tribunal should be the most important. But I cannot forget about what happened before with this institution. But politically, I'm oriented, but I don't have to say how I'm oriented. But very sad for me as a lawyer is that the verdicts of the institution, the Constitutional Tribunal, that should be the most important in the country, now the verdicts are questionable.
Right.
And I don't want to say if it is wrong or right, but the tribunal and their former actions unfortunately led to this.
Right, but only in 2027 these judges can be changed. So we still have many years to come, and this Constitutional Tribunal is what it is. And as you said, it should be on top of everything, right? On top of any legal institution. So should politicians, because I feel like political emotions are really very much tied into this. I mean, it doesn't matter really if it's civic coalition or is it law and justice. They should respect it, or am I wrong?
Of course they should.
Because Szymon Hołownia may be upset, and you know he may want to put him in front of this tribunal.
Yes,
law is law.
Law is law. And all the verdicts of Constitutional Tribunal should be respected and obeyed. But the question is different. If we are talking about the Constitutional Tribunal that is legally, that the members of this tribunal is legally in this institution or not. Because if they are not, I'm not telling that they are not, but if they are not, and this is question now, we are not talking about Constitutional Tribunal.
So that has to be resolved before anything
Exactly.
else.
For me as a lawyer, as I told you before, the verdicts of Constitutional Tribunal are the most important. But if we are talking about the Constitutional Tribunal in Poland. And this is the question we are stating and we are facing, and this is to be solved.
Right. I would add on there as well, potentially, if we look at case law from like a common law point of view, it will be different than if we look now at constitutional law, civic law here in Poland. It's many more, I think, legal questions I'd ask you about jurisprudence. We'll have to close it, but also just a quick thought, perhaps from your contract law experience, what does this signify for the złoty, just really briefly, for the Polish złoty having this kind of impact on the central bank? Will this affect the standing of internationally of the złoty, just briefly, as this all goes on, as we wait?
I'm a lawyer, I'm not a financialist, but this what we can say, because this question about what will happen with Adam Glapiński, it's ongoing for a couple of months. And it is question mark what will happen, but the stability of our currency didn't even move. So we can, comparing to how the złotówka reacted for the last few months, and it didn't even move. We can say that this situation, even if he will be put on trial, will not have any influence on the currency. But we will see.
Right.
This is something that we cannot predict.
Right. I think we need another hour with you to understand this situation. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Aleksandra Walkiewicz Zygowska, thank you so much for that legal expertise. Appreciate it.